What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the first 60th anniversary special, The Star Beast. So Doctor Who is back in 2023, of course, with David Tennant as the 14th Doctor now, and the much anticipated 60th anniversary specials are here, the first of three being The Star Beast, and we're going to review that today. Now, I'm actually not going to give this a rating. I've decided that I don't really know how to rate this because I need to see more of the series and stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to review these, give my points, and then at the end of the specials, maybe I'll do a ranking of all three specials, and then maybe in that I'll give each one a rating. But I just felt like it was a bit difficult. I wasn't really sure how to rate this, you know, being quite a lot different to Doctor Who that we've seen recently and not knowing how the next few are going to go either. So we're just going to be reviewing this, not giving it a rating out of 10. So yeah, let's get started. Of course, first of all, with the cast. So of course, we'll start first with David Tennant as the Doctor. So awesome to see David Tennant back. It is no secret on the channel that David Tennant is my favourite Doctor. The 10th Doctor is my favourite Doctor for sure. And his era is just my favourite era of the show. It's the era that I grew up with, that I was watching. You know, I started watching Doctor Who really with the 9th Doctor, and then, of course, into the 10th Doctor. That was my era and still is to this day. And I was so excited to see David Tennant back again. And yeah, he's pretty much the same in this that he was back in the day, which at first I was like, how do I feel about that? But I think it's going to depend on, you know, hopefully towards the end of these specials, we'll find out why the Doctor has this 10th Doctor's face again. Maybe that'll, you know, clear things up for me a little bit. But at the moment, I'm kind of like, you know what? I don't mind that he's basically the same as the 10th Doctor because, you know, there's obviously some sort of connection thing going on there. So I didn't expect him to be a different character, even though he's a different Doctor technically. I kind of expected pretty much the same as the 10th Doctor. So yeah, it might change depending on, you know, down the line how we, you know, when we figure out what's going on with why he's got this face again. But at the moment, love it. Basically just like he used to be. Amazing. I love David Tennant. He just has that spark even still. And yeah, of course, also Catherine Tate as Donna Noble. Awesome to see her back. She's my favorite companion as well. And yeah, she was amazing. Literally just came straight back into the role, just like David Tennant did. And yeah, it was amazing. Still, the chemistry between her and David is phenomenal. I love it so much. Yeah, there's not really much more to say with that one. Also going to mention Yasmin Finney, of course, as Rose Temple Noble, as she is kind of called in the cast list that I'm looking at here. Yeah, pretty good. I did quite like Yasmin in this one. Of course, she was known for being in, was it Heartstopper? Not something that I've watched. My partner has. I think it was Heartstopper that she was in. So I've seen like little bits when my partner's been watching it, and yeah, she was really good in this. I thought she was very good. I wasn't really sure what the whole thing with this character was going to be, but we find out that, you know, she's Donna's daughter, which I think we already knew. And basically she got, well, we find out in the end that she got her name because of, she kind of has some of that meta-crisis sort of energy in her body from Donna, and like memories have kind of passed into her, and she kind of chose her own name or something. So I like that as a thing as well. So yeah, very good from her. I don't think I'm really going to go into the rest of the cast. That's kind of the main three. I guess there was also, you know, Carl Collins as Sean. He was in it a whole lot, but he was pretty good. Of course, Jacqueline King as Sylvia Noble as well. Awesome to see Sylvia back. She was just as good as she used to be as well. So yeah, very good from the whole cast in this one. So let's get on to some points about this episode that I just was kind of writing through as I watched, and I think I'll add a couple of other things in there as well. So first of all, the new title sequence. I was very excited to see what this new title sequence would be like. New theme and everything. When I first heard the theme, when it was announced a little while ago, I was kind of mixed on it. I thought it sounded good, but it was a little bit off. And it's kind of still how I feel. I like it, but it just, I don't know, there's something about it, and I can't really put my finger on it. I don't hate it, definitely not. I don't love it either, but maybe it'll grow on me. The title sequences themselves, yeah, I don't really know if I like them that much, to be honest. They're very, I don't know, I'm so used to a title sequence kind of being this kind of one shot, you know, usually of the TARDIS going through a time vortex, and it just kind of stays as this one shot and follows it around. This title sequence it starts off with the TARDIS, but then the camera angle changes, and then there's a few changes in the title sequence, and I don't love it. I'm gonna be honest, I don't love this title sequence. Once again, I don't hate it, but it's not in my top 5 of the new series. I preferred Jodie's. I preferred. To be honest, at the moment, I guess I need to watch it more, but I probably prefer pretty much every other title sequence in the new series, at least, bar probably Matt Smith's one where they changed all the text. Yeah, probably the case. I didn't love it, I'm gonna be honest, but it was alright. Now, one thing about Donna, she still seems to miss everything that goes on around her. This was a whole thing with her tenure in the show back in series 4 and, you know, the Runaway Bride and everything, but every time something happened, she just seemed to have missed it. She didn't realize it was going on. That was a whole thing, and that was still the case. Of course, you know, with her not being able to remember the Doctor, we kind of want her, well, the Doctor and everybody wants her not to see all these things because that might, you know, reignite her memory. But it just happens that, you know, this ship crashes and she's just doing something completely different, not watching, and then as soon as it happens, she turns back around and she's like, oh, I missed it again. It always seems to happen. I love that. I just, you know, a great little callback to the old days there. The Meep. The Meep is adorable. I loved the Meep so much. Some of the funniest stuff in this episode for sure. When Donna comes in, you know, when Rose is in her shed with the Meep hides kind of just in like a bunch of toys, and Donna comes in and she's like, oh, look at that toy, that's funny. You know, it looks so real, and she pokes it in the eye and it blinks and it moves, and I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. And also just before that, when Rose is, you know, showing the Meep, like, so the Meep's like, oh look, I've made some friends, but they don't talk, and Rose is like, they're just toys, and the Meep's like, I don't know what's going on, why? And she like pulls out stuffing, and she's like, look, they're just stuffed, and the Meep's like, oh my god, you pulled out its insides or something. I loved that so much. It was so funny. I really liked the Meep in this episode. We'll get on to when the Meep changes to be evil. There is spoilers in this, by the way. Bit late to say that now. Yeah, we'll get onto the Meep a little bit later with when it changes and turns out that it's evil, but as the non-evil thing, I absolutely loved it. The comedy feels just like it used to. That is one thing that I absolutely loved about this. On one hand, I wasn't sure if I wanted it to be exactly the same as it was back in the day, because I'm like, are they just like, they're realizing that Doctor Who's not doing well, so they're going back to the glory days? But at the same time, those glory days are my favourite parts of the show, my favourite time of the show, so I'm happy to see it go back. And I think it was different enough that, with the visuals and just with general stuff going on, that I'm happy with how this turned out. But the comedy especially, very much, and the main bits I'm thinking of is when, well, that moment with Rose, Donna and the Meep, also when the Doctor comes into the house with the Meep there and everything going on there, and, you know, the Doctor getting slapped by Sylvia and he's just being like, oh, yeah, here we go with this again. All that sort of stuff. The comedy is brilliant. It's just like it used to be. The chemistry between everyone is amazing, and I love it. Now we get onto the sonic screwdriver, and it's probably one of my biggest issues with this episode. Now, I think this is going to be something where you're either going to not be that bothered about, or you're going to have a pretty big issue with. Now, I don't have a massive issue with it. I've never had a massive issue with the sonic screwdriver being able to do different things. It's when the sonic screwdriver, the Doctor just waves it and the day is saved. I'm thinking of something like the Power of 3. That's when I really don't like the sonic screwdriver. It just being able to do different things, I don't mind. I don't hate that. The thing with the sonic screwdriver being able to basically bring up like screens, displays of things, I like that. I think that's cool. Yeah, that's a nice little thing. Brings up information. Awesome. That for me works. Just as a thing of, hey, we're gonna, you know, get some information from this. I like that. The force fields, I'm not the biggest fan of. I'm gonna be honest. I just feel like it was a bit much. Like the sonic screwdriver can now he basically makes like an outline of a force field, and there we go. They've now got a force field and can stop the Wrath Warriors and the soldiers from shooting at them. I just felt, I don't know, I would have rather them being trying to like sneak past, or I don't know what else they could have done differently, but I don't love the sonic screwdriver being able to literally make a force field. So that wasn't my favourite thing in the world. I will just talk about the Wrath Warriors, actually. I didn't actually make a note of them, but I quite like them. They had obviously, in the end, actually kind of turned out to be somewhat the good guys. Their weapons were just stun guns, basically. I think they were maybe a little bit underused. Of course, once we found out that they were good, they had stun guns, they weren't actually killing people, and it was actually the Meep that was evil, they kind of disappeared and didn't return. I would have liked to see a bit more from the Wrath Warriors, but on the whole, I liked the design. The voices were a bit, they were just kind of normal people talking. But yeah, on the whole, I did quite like them. So now we get on to the Meep being evil. Now, yeah, I didn't know. I knew the Meep was a thing in, I believe, the comics, but I haven't read any Doctor Who comics. It's not really my sort of media, the books and comics and stuff. So I didn't know, other than the Meep being a character, I didn't know what the Meep was. So it turning out to be evil was a bit of a shock for me. I was like, wow, it's evil. I mean, once the Doctor, once they got into that car park and the Doctor got out, I could tell straight away that, okay, straight away I kind of knew, okay, I think there's something going on here, maybe the Meep's evil, and then of course it was. But before that all happening, I didn't really have any idea. And when the Meep did become evil, I'm going to be honest, I didn't love it. I didn't love the look of it. It was much more CGI. I thought it looked so much cooler and cuter, of course, when it was, the cute, good version. The voice as well, I mean, it's fine, but after the meep meep, the really soft voice of it, I really liked that part of it, and when it just became, I'm the evil Meep, and it, just with the teeth and everything, I wasn't as big of a fan of it. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. As like the first villain for this kind of lot of specials, it was okay. The Metacrisis energy split into rows so that Donna no longer had their full dose and survived. So that was the big thing in this episode, and it's another one of these things that I think is going to split opinions for people. So basically, Donna got a bunch of Time Lord energy in her back at the end of Series 4 because, she made the Metacrisis Doctor, she inhaled all that energy, but it was too much energy to keep her alive, so the Doctor had to wipe her memories, and that made her survive, but she could not ever remember. Of course, the Doctor and Donna got to that moment in the ship where the door came down, and he either had to not wake her up, basically, and the whole of London was going to be destroyed, or he woke her back up again. She, helped him with the pressing all the buttons in the ship and save London, but at the cost of Donna's life. And of course, in the end, Donna does die, and then Rose ends up being able to turn all this other stuff off because it turns out that she's actually got this energy in her because it's come down from Donna. And then Donna survives because she now doesn't have the full dose anymore. It's been split between two people. I like it. I like it as an idea. I was always a bit worried when they were bringing Donna back because I think one of the apart from just being a really good character in like Series 4 and everything, the ending for Donna is one of, if not the most heartbreaking ending for a companion, at least in the new series. It was just such a heartbreaking end. So for them to now somewhat be like, well, that's not a thing anymore. I kind of knew that was going to happen. Bringing Donna back, surely that was what was going to happen. And I was like, well, they're not going to kill her off. So I had a feeling this was going to happen. And to be honest, I think this is an okay way of doing it. They had the whole thing of, because Donna had this whole thing when she was the Doctor, when she kind of got the energy, that she was, going binary, binary, binary. And the thing with Rose, of course, Rose is she identifies as non-binary. So basically, the Doctor's binary because he's a man, Donna's binary, she's a woman, Rose is kind of in between, she's non-binary, and that, I think it's okay. I think people are going to have issues with that. I'm okay about it, but I don't know. It's one of those things that I think just has to sink into me, but I'm happy that Donna's back. I just hope this doesn't taint that, Series 4 ending. I don't think it will, but there will still be something in the back of my mind that's like, well, in 15 years' time, you're going to be okay again, so how do I feel about this? And And then the final thing I'm going to talk about is the new TARDIS. Now, this is something that I've only watched like one review since I've literally just watched this episode, watched one review, and now I'm recording this. And the review that I watched was from Richard Lloyd, by the way, another Doctor Who YouTuber. He seemed to really like this new TARDIS. Now, generally, I really like the look of it. I like the console. I like the very, classic Who white roundels sort of look to it. I love all the staircases. It's very, very large. Probably the biggest TARDIS we've ever had interior-wise. But I'm going to say this. It looks a bit too empty. I quite like a somewhat clustered, no, not clustered, but just a TARDIS with a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I personally quite liked Tennant's TARDIS. Maybe once again, the Tennant Excellent TARDIS. It could just be a nostalgia thing, but I quite like that one. It was one of the smaller, I think, console rooms. Then, the classic TARDIS always usually had a little, it was fairly empty, but it had a few little things, like an umbrella or something like that, a coat hanger around the outside to make it look a bit more interesting. And of course, those ones were also quite a lot smaller than our more recent TARDISes. And then, you've got the TARDISes like Matt Smith's, which I do quite like, actually. That has a lot going on. Capaldi's TARDIS, all the bookshelves and everything, that has a lot going on as well. Jodie's TARDIS, not my favourite in the world, but that had a bit going on, all the crystals and everything. This TARDIS, I really like the look of, but I think it's almost a bit too empty. It just feels a bit empty to me. Maybe I'll come to love it more. I don't hate it for sure, it is very, very good, but it just, for me, it does feel a little bit too empty. It's a bit too big. If it was like that, but a bit smaller, I think I'd like it more. I think it's a bit too big and too empty, but I still like it, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. But there we have it. That is my review for The Star Beast, the first of the 60th anniversary specials. Like I said, I'm not going to give this one a rating out of 10. I'm going to wait until all three have come out. Then I'll probably do a ranking of all three, and maybe then I'll actually give you a rating. But for now, all I can say is I did really enjoy this. It was definitely a step up from at least Series 13 for sure, Flux. And yeah, I enjoy this. Awesome to see Tennant back. Awesome having Russell T Davies back as the showrunner as well. Catherine Tate, all that sort of stuff. Really good to see. I'm very excited to see what else is in store for this 60th anniversary. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.